community of awesome. I'm Gabe and this is Bookish Pixie. So over the past couple months, I've gotten a lot of questions about reaching the required word length of a full novel without spending like 10 pages describing a field. And I totally get that concern. Writing a novel is a huge thing, and writing tens of thousands of words required to reach that novel length can seem like this insurmountable thing, especially at first. And there seems to be this misconception that if you aren't hitting the word count you need, it's because you're supposed to spend lots and lots of time filling it up with description of fields and grass and flowers and the setting, and that's not usually what you need in order to fill in a novel, or at least that's not usually the only thing you need. And I would know because I'm a writer who consistently writes lean first drafts, meaning that at the end of a first draft, almost every single time, I have to add in a lot of words. In fact, when I finish the first draft, I basically assume I'm going to add about 25K in revisions because that's the average I usually add in revisions. And I promise you, I don't do it by describing every blade of grass. Well, okay, how do you add to a novel that's too short? Well, you came to the right place, my friend. There are 4 main areas that I look at when I start revising. First is world building. Without fail, I always have to add in world building to my revisions because when I first draft, I'm very much a plot-focused writer, meaning I take the plot that I have and I plow through it to get it all down on paper, and I don't really give other things as much attention as they deserve. Do I still figure out some world building things while I'm first drafting? Yes, absolutely, and that's why I don't worry about it because I know a lot of it is going to come out naturally while I'm working. But does all of it just appear fully formed in my first draft without my trying? No, unfortunately not. I usually have a ton of questions that need answering for the world building at the end of my first draft, and filling in those answers adds a lot of words. For specifics about what kind of world building things you want to look out for, take a look at my world building playlist, which I will link to below. Second is plot. Yes, I am a plot-focused writer. Yes, I do think about plot a lot while I'm first drafting, but no, I do not get it perfect the first time around. That's just not how writing works. When I'm looking at plot, I want to think about whether every single scene is necessary, what sort of scenes I'm missing, like where are there gaps in the narrative, what did I rush through while I was first drafting. I basically want to look at my plot, find the weak areas, pick them apart, and then make them stronger. Which for me, more times than not, tends to mean adding in new material. Or if I have to cut something, I usually also have to rewrite it entirely, and usually the new scene that I write ends up longer than the original. And for more information about how I plot, check out my plot videos, which I will link to below. Third is character. For character, usually it just means I have to flesh out my characters more. So for my point of view character, that means thinking about their internal life and what they're thinking and feeling and how they're experiencing the events, and then making sure all of that is on the page so that all of their motivations are clear and why they act and think the way they do is all understandable. And then I have to look at my other characters too and make sure that they each have their own goals and motivations and their own lives so that they feel like real, conflicted, complicated characters and not cardboard cutouts. And all of that, again, requires more words. And then finally, the fourth thing is, yes, description. However, when I say description, I don't mean describing a field for 10 pages. I mean looking at every scene and making sure the reader is able to picture that scene. And usually, for me, that's not the case in first drafts. I am notorious in my first drafts for kind of just focusing on what I need to get down, so I'm really good at dialogue in my first drafts. However, less good about making sure that conversations that take place don't take place in a black hole. So a lot of my first draft conversations tend to be like dialogue, with like no context for the setting or what is going on around the characters or where they are or how they're interacting with the setting, because it's just literally not there. It's like 2 characters speaking in a vacuum, which I've written a lot of manuscripts at this point, guys, and that still comes up in my first drafts, and I've just kind of accepted it because I know it's something I just have to fill in later. So description isn't meant to mean going on and on and on about the same thing. It's meant to ground the scene so that readers have a sense of where this scene is taking place and who the characters are. Basically, you want to make sure you've painted a complete picture for your readers. So those are the steps I take to fully flesh out my novels and add in about 25K. So now you know. So that's what I got for today. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys soon.